Hey guys, welcome to another monster edition of the Detour Live. If you've been living under a rock, Jai Hindley is now in the lead of the Giro d'Italia. And I'm so proud because, I really did back this kid when no one else wanted to put their hand up and say that he could do it.
No one else.
No one else. I think Matty might have been right on that bandwagon. I think we all would love him to win it as well. Don't worry about that.
Yeah,
Anyway,
we'll do the intros. Johnny Trevorrow, Scott McGrory, Matty Poyner. Fellas, we'll start with you, Matty. How are your nerves at this point, given that you've got a connection to him and WA boy? How you feeling?
Oh, not nervous. Not nervous at all. This is just a great thing for the kid. We talked about this the other day, and I was the only one of us who said, yes, he can win this thing. Everyone else has got Kelderman, and then they've got Geoghegan Hart, and Jai was going to be number 3. I think if he was a Victorian, all of you guys would have seen this kid grow up, and you'd know a little bit. No. You would have seen him come through the ranks, and you know exactly how good the kid really is from behind the scenes. Just watching him race, I had nothing to do with his coaching, nothing like that at all. But I think he's got a lot to offer, and I think the way he rode last night again was just like the night before, the other 2 nights before when he put Geoghegan Hart away at the top of the climb. He's well within himself. I know we're going to get a little bit more in depth on who's going to win the time trial, so I won't add to the question. But I hope the pink jersey is in a situation where it just gives him the cloud to ride on. I don't want him to go in there nervous. He's got nothing to be nervous about. Everything has been achieved years before it should have happened, and now it's a time to let the adrenaline flow and just absolutely ride the wave of good feelings that he's given himself.
Matty, I remember 3 years ago when he ran second in the Sun Tour, riding for our national team. Yep. And I remember how good he was then. And matter of fact, he went very close to winning that because Damien Howson punctured on the worst possible moment you have in a bike race. You've got a stage, you're a certain last hill before they come up and get into the finish. Matty's punctured. The Mitchell Scott team waited, but the national team, they went on the front. We're driving. It was Froome, actually, who sort of called a bit of a halt to it. And I remember them being dark. And Jai, I remember at the finish, he wasn't happy about it because he felt he could have won the Tour there and there. And he very, very well did. He nearly did. He ran second overall in a fantastic ride. And I thought, gee, he's got a bit of fire in him, a bit of drive in him. I could see something special. And he signed up with Mitchell and Scott in their development squad then. And Dave Sanders looked after him a lot next year.
Well, speaking of Dave, he's ready to join the show. Let's add him.
Oh, sorry, Sanders. Dave, how are you, mate?
Dave,
we're just talking about Jai back in 2017, but I know Dan's going to tell you to move your phone sideways. Is that what you say, Dave? Dan?
Yeah. If you can tilt your phone to the side, mate, we want to see that beautiful head of yours. That's it.
Perfect.
There's the boat, right? There you go.
Dave, what can you tell us about Jai, mate? You spent a year with him with the Mitchell and Scott team doing a lot of the tours, particularly around Asia. What can you tell us about this superstar?
My experience with him started as a junior when I was national junior coach. Took him to Italy for quite a few months. And he was very good without being great. Then he's just stepped up as he's developed over the last few years. And then I had him, I lived with him and worked with him for a year with the Mitchell and Scott Conti team. And he was really developing then, particularly his climbing. And one particular race we took him to in China, Fuzhou Tour, which there was quite a few Pro Tour guys there. Astana was there, and it's a pretty big deal race. Queen Stage was a long climb with this, got steeper and steeper and steeper at the top, and he just ended up on it with 2 left, and he hit the other guy and just rode away to take the stage in GC on his own. So saw some real glimpses of something very special there. But then we've seen him here in the Herald Sun Tour. where he was unlucky to get he run second a couple of years ago, and then this year, of course, he was in a league of his own and won the tour outright. But a great young fella, really honest, quiet, young, quite a achiever. But when he's on the job, he's a great athlete.
Scooter?
Oh, absolutely. I concur with all of that. What I like about this crop that's coming through, and it's not to say anything about the previous crop, but to be this level of elite athlete in any sport, and particularly perhaps in cycling, because it is such a loner type of sport. You have to do so many of the kilometres and the hard yards, get yourself out of bed all on your own. You know, it's not like you're in a team environment like we're watching the AFL and NRL finals at the moment. You know, all of those players, sure, they're motivated, but a lot of them are motivated by being a part of a team and have to be at the club every day to do the training that everybody does, and therefore they get fit. And I've worked with one of the footy teams, and I witnessed that myself, where players were very, very skillful, but you could just tell that if they had to do it all on their own and then just turn up on game day, they wouldn't be anywhere near as fit as they were because of the team environment. And cycling is one of those sports where triathlon's probably another one, where you have to be the number one motivated person in your team to make sure that you train as hard as you need to be successful. So it takes a certain character to be like that, really cutthroat, fairly selfish, focused, but you don't have to be an arsehole. And what we get from Jai is that he's certainly not that. He's a real gentleman, lovely young man, but still has that killer instinct to try and win, but do it in a respectful way. And I just really appreciate this crop. Ben O'Connor as well, you know, another one out of WA that won at the Giro this week. You know, these guys are just fantastic young men that it's easy to support.
Hey, Dave, I can't work out. How did Mitchelton Scott not hold on to him? If the talent was obviously there when you had him.
I'm probably not the right one to answer that question.
Is there a story there?
Come on, break some news on the detour, Dave.
They couldn't take them all, and they just drew a line. I guess it was, they had Lucas Hamilton and a bunch of young guys to take on board, and I would have liked to seen Lucas side by side with Jai on these climbs in this last week of the Giro, because they're comparable climbers, and would have liked to have seen that equation happening too. So for me, this is the crop that we need to be looking after, this young group of Australians, because they are our future, and they've proved they're world class and they're good.
Well, let's have a listen to
the question directly, but
that's all right, mate.
I would have liked to have seen him with Mitchelton Scott.
Well, we ask the hard questions on this show. We don't often get the hard answers, so there's no dramas, mate. Let's have a listen to Jai after the finish of stage 20 at the Giro.
Yeah, I'm speechless. It's something I've dreamed about since I was a little boy. You know, to wear the leader's jersey of a Grand Tour is an incredible privilege, and it's not ideal to take it off Wilco, but it's nice to keep it in the team, and I'm just lost for words.
Take us through the last 3.5 kilometers when you have tried to attack Tao several times.
Yeah, I saw he wasn't looking super great the first time up the climb, and I was thinking I was going to be able to get rid of him and try and put time into him, but I just didn't have it in my leg. I was trying everything when I was attacking, but I just couldn't get rid of him, and so then I tried to beat him in the sprint, but he was too strong.
First and second, same time on GC before the time trial. You were better than Tao in the first time trial, the flat one. Do you think you will win the Giro d'Italia?
I don't know. I'm going to give it my best tomorrow and see how it goes, but regardless of the result, I'm happy with how I've been riding, and I'm super happy with how the team's ridden this Giro.
Well done.
Now, I heard an interesting point on the GCN show, and Wiggo was talking about, and that is for Tao. He's got obviously Rohan and Garner on the team, and they're going to go off first, so they're going to see the course, but they could also fill his head with too much shit going into the time trial. That could be a big issue. What do you reckon, Matty?
Yeah, I have to agree with that. Like, I think it's not. I do apologise. I'll start again. Geoghegan Hart's not Froome and he's not Thomas. If Jai was going up against those guys, I think we know what the result's going to be. Geoghegan Hart's a decent time trialist, just like Jai, and I agree with what you have to agree with what Wiggo says. It's Wiggo, but he's right in what he says. I think Ganna and Rohan will talk on a different level in time trial terms to what this kid can actually do. I think this kid, East London, comes from a road club, doesn't really come from a time trial club. Which is a big difference for somebody from the UK. I think he's going to wake up and he's either going to have a good day or he's going to have an off day. So there's no real advantage for Geoghegan Hart in the time trial here. And the time trials we've seen these two boys in over the last couple of years, there's not a lot between them. And I think the major time trial that they've been through, forget about the prologue, that was ridiculous. The wind got in the way. But the second time trial they rode, Geoghegan Hart was in a situation where he was riding flat out, and I don't think Jai was in a situation where he was. And, there was about a minute between them, and, 85, 90% compared to 100%. I think, 15 kilometres, this could go either way, but, I'm going to back the kid anyway, but I'll be backing Jai for this one.
Just while we're talking about it, it came down to milliseconds, as we know, as to who got the pink jersey, because Geoghegan Hart won the stage, got 10 seconds, and of course, second place was 6 seconds, and then he got that 1 second he got in that intermediate sprint made the difference. So it's down to milliseconds, but I reckon it could be worth a lot on the day today, because when you're starting last, that means you're going to get time checks on the spot. You're going to get them regularly along the road, and you're going to know, bang, you're up, you're down. Whereas the other way around, it's a little while before it transfers to how you're going against that person. I think that could be quite crucial. But we also talk about what it means to have that leader's jersey on. We've got some wonderful stories over the time, and I was talking to a couple of guys, to you, Scotty, earlier, and I wrote it in my story for the paper about the Giro that I rode, which the final stage was a 40k time trial into Verona, in the wonderful arena in Verona. And Battaglin was the youngster coming up, great climber, but not a time trialer. And it was a 40k flat time trial. And so all the experts were talking about how he was going to get beaten. And would it be Cerrone or Tommy Prim, who were both only about a minute back. But he just pulled down on the time trial of life, dead flat time trial, mountain climber, and he's done a ripper. He went third. So Knudsen, who was the sort of Ghana of that day, won the time trial. Tommy Prim was second, but only just behind him was Battaglin, who went third in that time trial and won the Tour by about 30 seconds. So that's what can happen when you've got that prestigious leader's jersey on. And we've seen it happen in the Tour de France a few times as well. So I'm hoping that he gets that pink rosy flush today. It'll be an amazing day.
Well, Johnny, he should be a second in front, because the day of Sestriere, when Rohan blew the race to pieces, and it was Tao following, and then and Jai just sitting third wheel. Before they got to the final climb, there was an intermediate sprint, and Jai didn't even go for it. So he just rode across the line behind the other two, and he should have at least picked up an extra second bonus. Instead of he got 1 second, he should have at least got 2. So he should be 1 second in the lead. He didn't even try.
If he loses it by a second, we'll bloody get stuck into him, mate. But I think it'll be a gap between. It won't be a 1 second. I don't think it'll be a gap.
Speaking of that, let's have a listen to Tay's interview after the finish, because they were talking about the first time trial.
Still one more day to go. It's extremely close, so we'll see what happens. This is bike racing. Anything can happen, but I'd concentrate on today. Been an incredible day, beautiful weather, unbelievable scenery. What a stage from everyone. So I'm really, really happy.
What can you tell us about the attacks from Jai Hindley? You always responded.
Yeah, I was super comfortable. I knew it wasn't for me to force it really, and I was focused on the stage. I knew that we had a lot of time to the riders behind, so it was for him to make the difference. And I knew that he couldn't once he did his first attack. So yeah.
can you take us back to the first time trial of the Giro d'Italia? Hindley was faster than you, but did you give your best?
No, I mean, we were here for Geraint. I think that's pretty well documented. So that was 20 stages ago. Very different parkour, very different day. I think I showed my TT legs in the last TT, and we'll see what happens tomorrow. It's a race, so we'll give everything, and what will be will be.
Interesting. Didn't try enough for TT.
Yeah, but he was dismissive of it as well. That was 20 stages ago. Who cares, kind of thing. So
Yeah.
well, it does. Like, were you flat out or not? You know.
Yeah.
But, he didn't say if he was or wasn't. So I
And
find
as
that
we
interesting.
keep going on about 2020, always prepare for the unexpected. Now, just going to mention a few of the comments that have come in. Of course, Wendy Superfan, hi guys, go Jai. Caroline, fingers crossed for Jai. Christian Sayer says, morning boys, hope everyone on form today and Iffy behaving himself. Always. Jason from the Maldives, I cannot wait for tonight. By previous results, Jai is the underdog, but last day of a Giro, he's in brilliant form and he has time checks. Let's do this, Jai. Australia is behind you. This is probably the best one. Great job, Dan. You're an oracle. You tipped Jai for taking the lead last night. What time is he heading off tonight so he can set the alarm clocks?
Thought you'd read that one.
Yeah. That
I like
should have been first
how
up
you
the
Could be
run.
wrong.
I like how you put the other few in there, tactically, just to lead up to that one.
that's a
Because
nice
the only
one,
one you wanted
yeah.
to read out was that last
Well, I
one.
saw it. It just popped off the screen. I thought, well, that's going to be too obvious. Need to sort of build it up.
Hey, head-to-head TTs, okay? So we've looked at the last two from this year's race, which are different because they were in support roles, all those things, etc.
Mm-hmm.
They've actually had TTs against each other 9 times, and 7 of those, Tao has finished in front of Jai. Now, knowing that sometimes they're riding for other riders, as they have been here up until their leaders, one capitulated and one fell off, you can't take too much into that, I guess. But where they finished in those particular time trials, the best actual stage placing that Jai had when he beat him was 34th in the overall in that time trial of whatever that race was. But the best place that Tao had in one of those time trials was 3rd in the same race when they were racing head-to-head. And he also had a 7th and a 13th. So he's not only just beaten him a couple of times, he's actually been right up in the mix and pretty close to being top 10 or being in the top 10 of those time trials in those particular races and stages. So Tao, certainly on form, is the better time trialer if history is anything to go by.
Ooh,
Yeah,
that's good.
I think you're 100% right there, Scotty, as far as history serves. One of the things that I noticed yesterday, and I love the way that I think it's Velon puts up the power outputs and so forth as they're climbing. And if you looked on the Sestriere climb the last time up, that Jai was pedaling a much smaller gear than Tao. Tao was in a big gear just like Rohan was. And incidentally, let's just have a quick well done to Rohan Dennis, who just did 2 days in a row as the greatest super domestic I think we've seen in years. The work he's done.
This was what they posted overnight.
Yeah, I saw that, yeah.
470 watts, is that good?
Scotty.
Yeah, a bit more than I would have got the other day, yeah.
No, I've definitely gone over 470, but that might have only been for about 500 metres on the flat. But
Yes,
no,
exactly.
that's impressive numbers, and we know, obviously that's going to be impressive for these guys racing at that level. They're the best. They're coming through the Grand Tour 3rd week in by far the best form. Those two are the absolute standouts. It's a great contest between the two. But yeah, you're going by history. Jai's up against it, but is he finishing off? Time trial at the end of a Grand Tour is very different to a one-day time trial. So Michael Rogers, good example of that. World champion multiple times on his day, one-day time trial, but never actually ever did a very good time trial in a Grand Tour. He just wasn't good at time trialing when he was tired, and that's what John was talking about with Battaglin as well. It's just who's got the good form. It's short, so it's not like you have to do it for 30, 40, 50 minutes. It's not these really super long time trials. It's only 15 Ks, dead flat. It's only going to take them about 17, 18 minutes or something like that. So that's not a big effort for these guys. So it's just absolutely full gas, and whoever's got the form at the end of this 3 weeks is the one that's going to come away with the win. Look, we've had a couple of situations like this before, though, haven't we? Remember 2017, Tom Dumoulin? Now, remember 2010 at the Tour de France, we had Chaingate, and at 2017 at the Giro d'Italia, we had Poogate. And when Tom Dumoulin had to stop for number 2s, he lost a bit of time and then had to overcome it in the final time trial. But you're talking about a world time trial champion up against Joaquim Rodriguez, who was a pure climber, and he annihilated him in the time trial and went from 4th up into 1st place overall.
Yeah, exactly. And then obviously the time trial. Have you already mentioned the Sastre one from 2008? I mean, different race, but
well, I did read. Well, see, 2012 was another one. So Ryder Hagedal, so former mountain biker, went to the Giro. He was in 2nd place. He was up against Rodriguez. I've got those mixed up. So it was Rodriguez that was leading coming into the end of the Giro 2012, and Ryder did a better time trial and come away with the win. So he reversed it there. But the Sastre one was interesting, wasn't it? Like Cadel was a bit further behind, but everybody thought that Cadel Evans at the 2008 Tour de France was going to annihilate him. But that wasn't
new guest. If you haven't worked it out, Dave Sanders' phone has just capitulated, so he's gone. In comes Rob Arnold from Ride Media. How are you, Rob?
I'm all
pretty
right.
excited.
You caught me off guard. I got no introduction at all. I'm excited. Yeah.
That's how we roll, mate. That's how we roll. And hang on, Dave Sanders is trying to reconnect, so we could have Davo back in. But Davo's back in. We've got a 6-man panel. Rob, what are your thoughts, mate? Can Jai do it?
I mean, I've been listening to just the last 2 or 3 minutes of what you've been saying, and I agree with a lot of it. You know, just trying to compare time trials gone by with what's yet to come is a flawed forecast, if you know what I mean. We've got to just be looking at what their purpose was back in, let's say, stage 1, for example. You know, it's not really, it's a redundant discussion because they both had different roles at that point, and now they're both in as leaders. So we'll see. But my gut feeling is that, I mean, just knowing how pure climbers like Jai time trial, generally they just get annihilated in a Grand Tour time trial. And so I wrote a piece as soon as I watched the stage this morning when I was really on a high. You know, I was really buzzing, and my gut feeling was that Tao holds the aces. And that's not to say that I'm not backing Jai all of the way. I'd love to see it. And if anyone's seen any of the coverage I've been putting up today on social media and on ridemedia.com.au, you understand that I really would love to see Jai get up. And, you know, I haven't even actually read any of the interview comments or quotes from yesterday's stage, except that Jai said he's going to put it all on the line. That seems pretty obvious to me. Obviously, Tao's going to do the same. Can he do it? I'll say yes, and I'll say it for this reason, because I just did an interview with Phil Liggett a couple of weeks ago about different things, including his movie that's released last week, and he called on the morning of the '89 Tour de France final stage time trial that Greg LeMond would win it by, I think he said in the morning that he would win it by the race by 5 seconds. And Paul Sherwin said to him, "What did you say that for?" And he said, "Well, of course he's not going to do it, but I'm going to say it just so that we get the ratings." So I like that idea. I'm going to say, yeah, look, absolutely. I mean, Australia should be paying attention anyway, just to cheer on Jai if he comes 1st, 2nd, 3rd, or 15th. It doesn't really matter. It's what he's done already at this Giro is fantastic, and I know I'm buzzing. I can't wait. It's going to be over in a blink of an eye. And I just hope that he goes incident-free. Everyone goes incident-free. And I don't know. I'm not answering the question. I'm sitting on the fence.
Hey, Davo, if you were in the team car, what would be your advice to Jai? Matey, fill in the next sentence.
It comes out. I've heard what everyone's been saying, and time trialling is a skill. It's not just about motor. It's great to have a motor, which Jai has, and watts per kilogram and all that. For climbing is a different equation for time trialling on a flat circuit, which is more about just watts and aerodynamics and everything else, and which is where Geoghegan Hart is a big guy, relatively. He's got the motor. Jai has the motor, but it's a skill, and whether Jai now has the desire and he's certainly got the heart to do it, but it's a lot of practice. Even when I'm training time trials, so you got to virtually live on the time trial bike because it's a different thing. But with that said, at the end of 3 weeks, it's a different time trial again. So with that, saying that, that's the positive that I put into it. At the end of 3 weeks, Jai has showed he's still got the form, he's still got the fitness and strength and everything else. A lot of people have fallen away. That's the ace card that I would think he hopefully can pull out of the deck.
They're predicting headwind predominantly for the course as well. So if you are a bit bigger and a bit bigger frame, will that come into it?
That would suit you to be a bigger guy. But as watching Geoghegan Hart, I've also watched him since he was a junior, because he was in the junior group when I brought Rob Power through, etc. So I knew him back then. And he is a rough-looking rider. He's not smooth and efficient-looking. He just does the job. He's obviously got a big horsepower, which generally is not a pretty thing for a time trialer. But bigger guys generally handle the wind a bit better. It is what it is, and we just got to see who's just still got the legs at the end of 3 weeks. Simple as that. They've raced.
It's no doubt that bigger guys handle strong side winds and everything better. But if it's a direct headwind, I reckon that'll suit Jai more. I reckon.
It's got the frontal surface area is very important.
Yeah.
Very important.
Hey, Matty, I want to ask you, looking at the TV coverage, we always, bang on about how cycling just doesn't get enough. What's it been like in WA? Because I think it was the last thing mentioned on the sports report tonight, and it was like, and an Aussie's leading a race in Italy. Is it a bit more comprehensive in WA?
Well, the big thing about WA is on a weekend, we tend to get the Eastern States news coverage. Monday to Friday, we'd be fine. They'd be talking about him. But on a Saturday night and Sunday night, we're getting the same news as you guys. So it hasn't gone berserk yet. So, but come Monday night, if he's got that pink jersey by the end of the night tonight, I'm sure, I'll be making phone calls to Channel 9 and Channel 10 here in WA and trying to point them in the direction of what he's done. But it hasn't gone off, and I'm not one to buy a newspaper. Never have been. So, but as far as the local riding area goes, like after last night's stage and he was putting on the pink jersey, the cycling fraternity of WA is absolutely beaming over here, guys. I can't tell you. Names that you haven't heard in 10 years in the sport here in WA are on social media talking about this kid. Everybody is on the jazz to see what this kid can do. And if you're a West Australian cyclist here in WA tonight, every single person will be in front of a TV somewhere over the GCN app or wherever they can watch it from to cheer this kid home.
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, what network did you see that on, Dan?
Channel 9.
Channel 9. Well, ABC have been running it every day, all the way through. So regardless of the results, Aussies or not, ABC every morning have certainly been doing their little piece on the Giro as a global sporting event. So it's a network that they're not footy centric, are they? So at least it got on 9 for something. Hopefully it'll be bigger tomorrow. So it sounds like WA jump on the bandwagon too. Then by Monday the media will be on board. Then Matty.
Oh yeah, and then we'll try and claim that he's a Victorian. We've got a few more.
Would you have had him over? Would he have been over to one of your camps or something at some point, Davo?
Jai has, yeah.
Yeah, so Victorian. Yeah, he's been to Victoria.
Yeah. Got a few more comments. Wombat Breath says, great to see young sand gropers doing so well. Best luck to Jai. Great to see Benno is to deal now with AG2R. So that happened in the last couple of days. Anthony McCrossan.
I hope that's a cracker because they've got a lot of money next year. So hopefully he's been well paid.
Anthony McCrossan says the Maglia Rosie is worth a few seconds alone. Big day ahead and can go either way. And another one, you were mentioning this, Iffy. The Detour got a plug on the Vuelta this morning.
Yes, I didn't hear it myself, but they were raving about you, Dan. I got a couple of mentions all about you. I think you would have loved it, mate.
Oh yeah,
fill us in. What were they saying?
Joe Pesci, they loved it, didn't they?
Joe Pesci, De Niro, and all that.
Yeah.
That was good.
Yeah. So anyway, all right. Well, let's have a look at this. Is the course profile, as you said. It's going to be pretty pancake flat, and if it's a headwind,
a big hill in the middle. There's a big hill right in the middle. That's going to be the one that makes it that changes everything.
Where's that?
Oh, maybe it not. Maybe I'm. Oh, sorry, it was just a dirty mark on my TV screen. So, okay.
No, there's a couple of. It's fairly straightforward, but it does come into Milan. So there are a few corners. And Dan, we know what that can be like in Milan. 2009, it was terrible. It was dangerous. They had those big square. It's not like cobblestones, but they're just really big square blocks, not like the normal cobblestones we see at Roubaix and in Flanders, etc. And they can cause havoc. So I don't know what roads exactly they're coming in on, but hey, it'd be true to form for the for RCS, the Giro organisers, to throw them down a few streets that are probably not suitable for time trial bikes.
You think they might chuck in a helicopter just to sort of ruin someone's chances like they did in '87?
New tram lines around the Duomo too there.
Could be.
Yeah.
Speaking of helicopters, because the guys, they finished in Sestriere and then they've got to drive across to Milan. Sunweb are doing it in the buses, but Ineos have supplied helicopters for their 3 time trialers. So they went straight through and minimised their travel time. So that's another little benefit that Ineos come up with.
Maybe not.
Why didn't they drive a Hulk and Big Four drive down to Milan? They should have done that, shouldn't they?
Good point. Very good point.
Hey, Matty Rendell. Matty Rendell has got an interesting point here. Bit of a story about skin suits. Castelli make the Giro d'Italia jerseys and also Ineos's kit. That said, there's some are saying that Castelli don't make Ineos's skin suits. Rob, you'd probably be better to answer that one with all the tech stuff, no?
I haven't worn a skin suit except for the home trainer, and it wasn't a pretty sight.
Don't you have to review all that sort of stuff, though?
No. Maybe now that I'm on the bike and I'm doing the big Ks, but I don't know. It's nothing I can comment on. But over to you, Dave. You've sort of done the skin suits, haven't you? A little bit of research in the wind tunnel with those.
All I know is the skin suits at the last Olympics were borderline legal and whatever. So the connections with Ineos and Sky, etc., they would have the best high tech. The British at the last Olympics, their skin suits were borderline. Of what is permissible.
Are you insinuating that we lost because they cheated, Dave? Is that what you're saying?
No comment, Your Honour.
What was it in 2018 when Tom Dumoulin won the time? He won the time trial in the second last stage of the Tour de France, and Exdondo had to make it up at the last. Scott, can you remember that story? There was some funny skin suit story with the manufacturer. Any recall?
I can't remember. I know that. So I certainly wouldn't be surprised if the skin suits. So thanks to Matt for that, and a shout out to Matt and also Ant across it if they're listening still. 2 good guys doing great jobs in the media world for cycling. The skin suit, that would not be surprising at all if Ineos are getting those made separately. But I know that when they changed manufacturers and went to Castelli, they did a lot of research on all the different clothing companies, and they decided, rather than going to the companies to see who would sponsor them, they decided that Castelli would be their brand because they felt that they were, of all those brands that are suitable for endurance riding, etc., they made some of the better quality stuff. But when it comes down to the skin suits, they would be very particular. So I wouldn't be surprised by that at all. So while they both have the same logo, both Jai and Tao, let's look closely because they probably won't be the same skin suits.
Hey,
Dave, the first time I ever saw skin suits or something that looked like a skin suit was when we rode the Olympics in '72. So a team time trial, 4 up, 100K. And the Dutch and the Russian team had sort of these shiny things. And we were riding road jumpers with front pockets. So we had no idea what we were doing.
Hey, Dave, thinking about the Grenadiers, can we rip in and talk about the pursuit, the pursuit legend himself, Filippo Jana and Rohan Dennis? They've gone first and second in the time trials already. Are we going to sort of dissect that concept, or are we only talking GC today?
I just wanted to quickly ask Davo though, what is Jai's personality like? Because I've seen a lot of riders over the years obsess when it comes to skin suits, tech stuff. If the seat's a millimeter off, what is he like? Is he laid back with all that sort of stuff?
He's the most laid back dude. He is really casual. When he's on the job, he's very professional, but I wouldn't think he'd be losing sleep over too many things. I was talking to James Victor last night, who's also had a lot to do with Jai. I said, Jai, we having sleepless nights tonight, and James said no, he won't. He'll just be laid back. So I wouldn't. He would put the hands into the professionals. And I mean, it's another guy we should be talking about here is Luke Roberts, who has put it together, another Aussie, and he would put it into the hands of the professionals. So what we're going to do, put them in the right direction. Let's go. He wouldn't be obsessing about it. I wouldn't think.
No, he's good. Fantastic. He's brilliant at that, isn't he, Luke? He's done a great job. I remember when he was DS during the Tour de France a couple of years back, and he was just so casual, just handled it so well. You know, he's a good man.
I did shout out to him. He got back to me last night to get him to come on here, but they're doing the course reconnaissance of the TT. So he said he might be able to do it from in the car. So what have been going now, 36 minutes or so. So look, hopefully maybe Luke may call in.
And John, is Sir Dave Brailsford coming on?
Yeah, I expect his call any minute. He's just going to go and wake up Luke Rowe, and the two of them coming on together. They should be
brilliant.
Fine. Yeah.
He had one job. Just
what you're saying, Rob, talking about. I mean, we're really. I don't care who wins the damn thing. It's all about Jai winning the Giro. But I don't think anyone will get anywhere near Ghana today. I think the form that Rowan's shown in the last couple of days has been amazing. But I reckon it's got to take a bit out of him for the time trial today. And
it was quite interesting how Jana was setting the pace, and then when he tealed off, Cacciavecchio did about what? I rode a couple of 100 meters, and then Rowan was just like, stuff this, I'm not waiting any longer. Let's go. And he ripped in, and when he went, it was just like, it was
amazing. As you said, Matty, you brought it up, and we probably should spend a few minutes talking about it, because it wasn't just a really good ride by someone. It was super, super impressive. Every other GC rider just got spat out the back. And we were debating it just a couple of days ago. We were talking about how Rowan had been touted as being a GC man in the future. And we were actually saying, I doubted it. He hasn't been doing that much of that type of thing. But, gee, that blew me away. Look, the other day on Stelvio, and again last night, that was as good a performances on a mile too big a gear as well. I mean, just so much power coming out there. If you could just learn to pedal a little bit smaller gear, you reckon he'd even go better. But, hey, you can't get much better than what he did last night and on the Stelvio. It was just staggering.
And the big thing with him, the way he went last night, sorry, Scotty, the big thing about Rowan last night is when Jai threw the attacks in, Rowan was still well within himself. He came back each time. It was only that final sort of attack that he went, now that'll do me. I'll sit up now and save something for tomorrow if he's got anything left. But he was well within himself the whole time. He came back. He rode a good tempo. You know, I'm a massive Rowan fan. I make no secret of that. And, I think the last 2 days, he has just turned himself into a different bike rider, if that's possible, considering how good he is already.
Yeah.
This situation reminds me of O'Grady riding for Sastera and also for the Schlecks against Cadell Evans. You know, we've got an Aussie trying to win and an Aussie that's doing an incredible job for the opponent trying to beat them.
With Scott Chamberlain calling the shots as well.
I never forgave Stewie. Never forgave Stewie for that, arsehole.
Well, Stewie, sorry. Speaking of Stewie, and we're talking about before about time trials where people have come from behind or won it in the last day, and this will be the third time at the Giro that it will be decided in the final time trial. No one's coming really technically from behind. It's only tenths of a second. But in 2008, Stuart O'Grady won the Jayco Herald Sun Tour, which, John, you were the race director of. I was working on it. Now I'm the race director myself. But he came from behind in the time trial to then win the overall classification. But what was interesting was that I think we're at, you were there, Dave, I'm pretty sure. We're up at, I think, Mount Buller or Falls Creek or something the day before. The time trial was in the Yarra Valley the next day. We had a dinner. And this is something that maybe it's too late for them now, but this is perhaps a tactic.
Full story?
No.
I will. And Michael Hands was the race director. No, Michael Hands was the race director at that time, wasn't he, John? Sorry, then you came in after that. And we had this dinner up at one of the ski resorts. I forget which one now, Falls Creek or the other. And after the dinner, I hadn't spoken to Stewie for pretty much the whole race. I hadn't seen him, and we were good mates. So, I was looking forward to catching up. And we finished the dinner, and he's looked at me and, waved me over to the bar. We went up to the bar, and he said, "Hey, mate, how you doing?" I said, "Yeah, good. He said, you want a drink?" I said, "Oh, mate, well, I'm just here with the media commentating. So if you want to have a drink, sure, I'll have a drink with you." And as he said that, Michael Hands, the race director, walked over and heard that conversation. And he said, "Oh, well, boys, big day tomorrow. You going to bed?" And Stewie looked at Michael and said, "Michael, did you just tell me to go to bed?" And he's like, "Oh, no. Stewie's like, we all know it's Stewie. Great character, hard as nails." And Michael's backpedaling. "Well, no." He said, "Michael, did you just tell me to go to bed?" He said, No. Look, good luck tomorrow, Stewie. Time trial. I've got to go to bed. I've got a big day." And he left. Stewie looked at me and said, "My shout." And then proceeded to have a couple. And I know that he would have been a little bit seedy the next morning and went out and won the time trial, smashed it, took the GC lead and won the Tour overall.
And ladies and gentlemen, Scott McGrory is not endorsing drinking beer in advance of the time trial.
No
don't
way.
do it.
Serious bike rider would
stay away from the beer.
Would never do that. Exactly.
No, you only smoked half a deck on the
It worked for him.
head.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
A few more shout outs. We've got Richard King, Kia Ora from Rotorua, New Zealand. Rob Hatch, enjoyed listening, guys. Have fun tonight. Superstar commentator. Alan Davis. Oh, mate. Alan Davis, regards, fellas, from the Vuelta. And Rowan is fantastic from Leslie Burt. It's been awesome, all the insights, guys. I reckon we should go to your sponsors plug, but we might say cheerio to Davo and Matty, and then we can dissect the Vuelta boys. But no, thanks for coming on, and we'll check in again, and hopefully Jai's obviously gets the job done. It's going to be a fantastic night to watch.
Thanks, guys. It's been an absolute pleasure talking to you. See you later. Go WA.
See you, fellas. Yeah, go Jai. Go Jai.
Go you, mate. All right, Iffy, time to do your sponsors plug, mate. Mitchelton.
Yes. Well, it's going to be very different tonight because I have lost my script, but that doesn't matter. It's pretty easy to do. The beautiful Mitchelton Hotel on the banks of the gorgeous, what's the river up there? I can't remember the script. I can't remember. The Goulburn. That's it. Yeah.
Jeez, you really are hopeless without your script.
I'm joking, fellas. The beautiful Goulburn Valley. I spent a lot of time up there, and I'm going up there next week. Where that's the bottle shop, or we don't call it the bottle shop, the cellar door, where you can get booking for a wine tasting, absolutely glorious. Also, there's one of them there, a Massan. My favourite's the Mitchelton Heathcote Shiraz. But also in the Muse restaurant, where we've got my son Dino's 40th birthday there next Sunday. So that'll be a huge night. That's the bank, which is not actually at Mitchelton, but it's Heathcote just down the road. As you can see, wonderful rooms in the hotel there, overlooking the beautiful Goulburn River.
All over the shop.
That's fine. The suites are to die for, and they've even got the luxury suites with a spa and the lot. And of course, you can unwind in the magnificent spa there. And I think you have a great shot of the people of a couple there recovering from a session in the spa.
You can go for dinner in your robes. No one judges.
No one judges, and also you can go up to the iconic tower and look over the whole Goulburn Valley, or you can go down into the catacombs below and have a look at the amazing young bride is one, but also the Aboriginal Art Gallery, which is world class, which is just amazing. And
what about that $500,000 truck? $500,000 paint job.
A $10,000 Toyota Land Cruiser with a $550,000 paint job.
$550,000. Wow, that's expensive.
They've actually got hanging in there. There's actually a Pinarello bike frame that one of the most famous Aboriginal artists painted. And he passed away just after he finished it, so they reckon that jumped up in value by about another $20,000. But it is amazing, beautiful Pinarello bike frame. There you go,
Johnny. I'd like to see a graph of your the prices for that Land Cruiser. That'd be great. Yeah. The graph of the different prices that you've given us all through.
It started out at $250,000, and then it's just it's over $500,000 now.
We're running an auction. That's what's going on here. That's going on. I just had a message from Channel 7, Johnny. They just asked me if you could do all of the voiceovers for the advertising for the Olympics next year. They were so impressed.
Was that Channel 7 or Channel 31?
Channel 31. Yeah. I watched Bloke's World the other day.
Oh, is it still going?
Yeah. I've got a bit of bogan going on, that's for sure.
Good stuff.
Yeah.
All right. Well, here's a quick word from our great mates at Bike Exchange.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match. But not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Yeah, great commercial there. Now, what's funny, Johnny, you sent me all these photos before the show and you said, oh, mate, I got some great snaps. Davo with Jai. They're all there. I just forgot to use them. So, Davo
in China. Yeah. Oh, great.
A bit late now. There's Jai on one of the podiums.
Winning that big race in China. Yep.
Yeah. And then there was another one of him out on the road. And then there was another one with Davo that he could have spoken about. And this was after he'd... Hang on, it's not working. There it is. There's a group shot. So we could have asked Davo about that, but we didn't.
You could have.
Anyway.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah.
Move on.
All right. Well, we haven't
Now,
even mentioned the Vuelta, and I don't suppose we go onto it too much, but it was good to see Tim Wellens get a win, because he's had a bit of a lean year coming back from injury and stuff, so it was a pretty impressive ride, actually.
Well-known name as well. So good to see. So that's tomorrow, is it?
I think this is the next stage. Yeah.
Next stage coming up. So that's the GC boys coming back out. Although the GC boys have been, it was a breakaway last night that Tim won. Guillaume Martin was second. So one of the GC guys that was trying the Tour de France in the breakaway at the Vuelta. So he hasn't kind of replicated the early part of the Tour de France form that he had, Martin, but someone to look out for in the future. But Primož Roglič was just again the dominant of the GC guys. Dan Martin had a crash, boys, in the last couple of days. Did he? Yeah.
No, it was in the last couple of 100 metres, mate. On the last corner, about 500 metres to go.
Something in his contract where he needs the crash in every major race.
No, unfortunate for him, because it wasn't his fault. It was actually, if you're going to blame anyone, no one really.
I'm not blaming. I'm just saying it's pretty consistent.
No, I'm not saying you are, but if we're going to put blame on him,
I sense a little bit of blame. Sense a little bit.
Roglič. It was Roglič. So Roglič jumped through on the inside, which then forced what was the name of the Movistar guy? He's gone down, and Dan would have actually avoided it. He stopped, but the second Movistar guy ran into the back of him and just popped him off the bike. So unfortunate for Dan. He should have been able. He would have liked to have avoided that, but no damage done to those guys. No
Jace wants to know: do you think Jumbo were attacking too early with Kuss?
Yeah, I don't know what they were doing, actually. I think Kuss was trying to get up the road for some reason. I don't know what he's doing. Very impressive. I find him one of the real finds of the year. But I'm sure he'll have plenty to do in the next couple of weeks. We've got a solid Vuelta couple. After tonight, we'll start talking about Vuelta.
Well, is this the problem with the double up of the Grand Tours? Because I really couldn't give a rat's risshole at the moment about the Vuelta until the Giro's done.
Yeah, and all the British fans are the same. So it's just because we've got such a heightened interest in the race because we've got an Aussie that's in the lead of the Giro. So yeah, we're focusing on that. I think if we didn't have Aussies in the mix in either, we as fans would just be watching both races as we normally would.
Yeah,
probably watching more of the Vuelta because it's on free-to-air TV on SBS. Whereas that's the problem with the Giro at the moment, because they can't see the bigger picture. Because of your mate, Dan, your mate Vigny.
Pesci. It's Pesci now.
Pesci, that's right.
You got to get the GCN app. That's if you want to watch bikes. Unless you get Fetch TV
it's
for Eurosport.
pretty easy to use. I quite enjoy it actually.
There's so much content as well. So look, and in all honesty, Eurosport was always the one with the most content. Now that changed to Fetch TV in Australia. So in Europe, Eurosport's still the way to go. But the combination of GCN and Eurosport combining, and the commentators now mixing. We've had many of the guys with Rob and the guy, Rob Hatch and Ant McCross, and these guys that are doing all the commentary, tuning in, which is nice to hear. But that deal that they've done, GCN and Eurosport, if you're a cycling fan, I think that's fantastic. It's just that, free-to-air is better for everyone for growing the sport. If you're a pure fan and you just want to watch cycling, then get the GCN app.
I especially like that you can throw to the Apple TV. I wouldn't like to sit there watching it on my phone, but I had it up on the big screen, and it was it sort of really.
I've thrown the podcast right out there, and I'm seeing if Alan Davis wants to quickly jump in, because he's on the ground at the Vuelta, so we can ask him a couple of quick fire questions before we go. But if he doesn't come on in the next 5, we'll just drop him.
Go back to Rob. Send a message to Rob Hatch, knowing that he's on there.
Yeah, we should. I don't have his number. I'll have to hunt it down. Christian says, who is Christian Sayer? It's a fanboy. If he smashed the voiceover king,
Leo's brother.
Mic drop. Leo Sayer. Yeah. So there you go.
Checks in the mail.
So, anything you want to add before we wrap things up, boys? Is this Is this the tightest it's ever been on GC going into the final stage? Rob, you'd know that.
Well, is there ever? Surely, no one's ever had the same time in a Grand Tour going into the final stage. It's like a dream scenario, and it's a dream scenario not only because they're so closely matched on time, but they're so closely matched on skill. I mean, I think that the consensus is that Tao is sort of the favourite for the stage, or more favoured for the time trial, but. I just think it's glorious. Every time they release a route for a Grand Tour, the ambition is to have anticipation to the end. You can't script it better than this, can you? Only that they're both riders who were initially in the roster to work for someone else. That sort of makes it, I think, even more intriguing, much more fun.
Yeah, no, for sure. Exactly right.
It was certainly, for me, I've written about cycling for close to 30 years, and I thought it was one of the easiest and most enjoyable stories to write this morning. And I just sat there, just a train of thought, and then as soon as I hit publish, I put the shoes on and went out in the filthy wet weather, and I was still super motivated, and I made a little video about how much Jai made me want to go and ride.
We saw it, Rob. We saw it. Very good. Inspiring.
So I just hope that sort of, I don't think it's just me. I think it rubs off on other people. I bumped into a few others today, and really it shouldn't have been riding in Sydney. It was horrible. It was just rank, but everyone was kind of like me, just buzzing, just like there because they're just filled with adrenaline. And I found it actually difficult watching the race because I was like, come on, hurry up, I've got to write the story. And then the sun's up, I'm ready to, come on, let's go. Dan, did it touch you like that? You look like you've had a few kilometres on the bike this morning.
Oh, for sure, mate, for sure. I've been doing plenty of Ks. Actually, I've been walking a lot lately, not on the bike. I've just been getting out among the dunes. I'm out here at Ocean Grove at the moment. Fresh sea air. Geez, it does you wonders. It's bloody awesome.
How'd you go with the fridge, Dan? You explain that story.
Yeah. Which fridge? As soon as I got back, I smelled something. I'm like, what is that? That's carcass. And the fridge, the power went out. The box got switched off, so anything that was in the fridge went off. So it wasn't pleasant. Was not pleasant.
We'll survive that. Okay, so tonight we'll all be glued to the TV. We're going to watch what we hope will be one of the great. Well, not hope. We know it's going to be a great duel, and I hope Jai can just pull one out of the box.
Okay, I might have a nibble, and he can only come on for 5 minutes because we're going to wrap it up, and that's Whitey. And I want to quickly ask him about what happened. Why didn't you sign him? Like, are you spewing?
All right.
Yeah. So what are your
waiting for Whitey? Everyone was asking about the props yesterday, and look, I did some effort. Look at that. I put some bikes up and some jerseys, and no one's even made a comment. I pulled one out from 2010. And it's a Cervelo. Oh, hang on, I don't know what to say.
Scooter, your backdrop,
a blank wall.
Your backdrop's very similar, Scooter.
Yeah, mine's changed. I've got another bike up there now as well. I've got an old white one as well that I rode around in Sydney, the Dunkgrave Velodrome years ago. And I pulled back the pink jersey from Contador for good luck for Jai, hopefully. Not the Contador bit, but the pink jersey bit. We'll see. Now, we've already gone past the stage itself, but I did want to mention, I was going to mention that Sestriere is one of my fondest memories as a fan of cycling while I was still racing back then. But 1992 Tour de France, one of the most iconic and epic stage wins, and it was Claudio Chiappucci. The stage was 255 kilometres or something, first climb straight out of the blocks. He went at 245 Ks to go and held on for a 1.5-minute victory to win the stage to Sestriere. It was one of the most
clean
iconic.
And so pure, and it was wonderful. It was actually, that was the first stage of the Tour de France I saw. I saw one in 1977, but I was 7 years old, so it doesn't count. But I saw that stage, the beginning of the stage of Sestriere that Chiappucci won. And he was on his own, and I was pretty early in the stage. It did leave a big impression on me. I sort of made it my job after that.
You know, one other thing about that Sastre time trial, Scotty. I don't know if you remember, but I remember Cadell was so mentally cooked that year. He changed so much of his routine. So because he was the number one favourite and he had the number one tag and whatever. Do you remember that time trial? He broke his routine where he was on the rollers inside the bus. Remember we went to film?
I remember that stage.
Yeah.
We were going to film him warming up, and we were like, where is he? He hasn't come out. Like, all the cameras are there. Everyone's looking at each other going, what the hell? And he warmed up in the bus in his own little spot so that he couldn't be seen on, wanted privacy or whatever. But I think time trials, because they're so mental in terms of your approach and all that sort of stuff, I'd be just trying to keep it very similar to the preparation for everything. Don't build it up.
No, absolutely. Look, the team, Lotto let him down big time that year with the pressure that they actually put on him and the routine. And, we remember how hectic it was every day. He had the Serge, the bodyguard that used to look after Armstrong. He came along and started looking after Cadell, and they created the scrum. They created a media scrum every day and then blamed the media for having a scrum. I said, guys, you break your routine. Every single day you do something different, so we don't know what Cadell's going to do. So we're scrambling after every stage to try and get a grab from him. Just keep it consistent. You're in control of your environment, and they were terrible that year.
What about that day?
That was more Mark Cook than anyone else. I mean, David Bombecker, I remember he came into my office and he was photocopying notes and of the route, and so he had a lot of standard protocols still in play on that stage in 2008, and I think we shouldn't try and sort of cast any blame on Hendrik Redant and Marc Sergent. They were doing what they could, but it was the team owner who made the Yell for Cadell concept, and they tried to make that movie, which I don't think it ever got screened. Has anyone ever seen it?
Yeah, I got the DVD. Yeah.
Oh, right. I've got it, but I didn't watch it.
It's $2 at JB in the bin.
Yeah.
The bargain bin.
In the racing with Sergent and the DS, all that was fine. That's normal. They do their job well. It was the media manager and everything outside of the actual sport was terrible, and they created
Hey, mate, I gave you 2 minutes prep. This is perfect lead-in. Just want to ask a quick one. Jai Hindley, what happened there in terms of, obviously, if you had a crystal ball and you knew what sort of form he was going to be in 2020, but he was with Mitchelton Scott in 2017. How come he wasn't with the team after that?
At the time, we only had room for one of our stagiaires, or one of our guys from our development team, and we chose Lucas Hamilton, and he had a contract to go with somewhere. And he's had a great progression over the last couple of years, and is in the situation that he's in this afternoon.
Do you think he can win?
It's a tough one because neither him or Tao are time trial specialists. Pressure will do funny things to people, and I think it's going to be, well, regardless, I think it's going to be the tightest Giro in the 100-plus year history.
Do you think?
What would you be saying to him now, Whitey? You know, when it's just a couple of hours away from roll-off time, what's sort of, how can you advise someone as with a cool, calm, and collected character like Jai Hindley?
I probably wouldn't be saying too much because I don't actually know the Jai that well. I think you've got to know your athlete. I think some guys respond very, very differently to pressure. Some guys you would need to back away from a lot, and they can handle it themselves. And some guys do need a little bit of encouragement and reinforcement of where they are and where they've been to, where they're going. But it's really, really individual. I don't know Jai well enough, but one thing for sure, he's had an incredible Giro, and I wish him all the best. It'd be incredible if he could win the Giro this year after everything that's happened over the last week.
Yeah, for sure. Iffy?
Yeah,
no, mate, questions.
You've already asked them. We've gone right through it. Been talking about this for the last hour. But look, I just was talking earlier about what happens at the end of a Grand Tour. So it's a very different story to normally riding a time trial. But sometimes people do some wonderful things when they've got that leader's jersey on their back, and we're hoping that Jai is going to produce one of those.
Yeah, definitely. And look, I don't know what you guys have been talking about, but regardless, the person who's upended this race and changed the dynamic totally is Rohan Dennis. Holy moly. The damage that he has done over the last two mountain stages, that's what's killed Wilco Kelderman's chances of winning the Giro. And it certainly put these two, Tao and Jai, in the driving seat to win the Giro. One of them's going to win it, and it's the damage that Rohan did on the Stelvio and that Rohan did on the last two laps yesterday of Sestriere, which has totally upended this bike race.
Yeah, we were just talking about that in depth, and it was interesting to note just even after he did his last big surge, and then Jai started trying to attack Geoghegan Hart. Every time that he's up, he comes straight back. So he was still there. It was just staggering, that ride.
Yeah, look, those sort of climbs do suit Rohan. That side of Sestriere and also the Stelvio, or the parts of the Stelvio, that sort of 5 to 7% gradient, that's his kettle of fish. And the Stelvio for me was incredible. What he did on the Stelvio, I thought, riding a tempo like that, that's not out of his league at him by any means, but to keep going and over the top, down the valley, all the way to the bottom of the last climb, that's what changed this year's Giro. That ride, that 1 hour plus ride that Rohan Dennis did, that's what changed the Giro. And then yesterday was no surprise. It was easier climb. He had more time to do it, and you could see it coming. But it's. What a week the Aussies have had. 2 stage wins, and Rohan hasn't won a stage. If Tao does win the Giro this afternoon, it's going to be the damage that Rohan did is going to be very much responsible for putting either of these boys across the finish line first.
Yeah, no, amazing, and not just riding tempo, as you say, he's doing that and blowing off all the other GC riders out the back.
He finished third on the stage yesterday at 15 seconds.
I know.
Rohan did say that, because he and Garner, obviously the favourites for the time trial stage, and they'll be off before or earlier on, so they'll be able to report back to Tao just about the course and what to do and give him some advice, etc. Now, Bradley Wiggins heard that and said that Tao just shouldn't listen to them at all. He should just focus on his own thing and just go flat out and not fill his brain with too much stuff and too much information from other people. He might start to second guess himself on certain corners or what's this and what's that. You've got some good time trialers in your team. What would be your advice in a situation like that? Do you think Wigo's got a point?
100%. Oh, look, I want Jai to get up. So go chat to Tao all you want. I see where Wigo's coming from, because at the end of the day, it's another time trial. It's a very important one for Jai and for Tao. But all the advice you get off the best time trialers in the world ain't going to change how you ride today. And so I really do see where Brad's coming from, and the fact that everyone has a certain way they dissect the time trial. Time trial specialists look at a corner very different to a non-time trial specialist. Now, what full gas through a corner for someone who's very confident in their skills on a TT rig is very different from another guy. So I think for Jai and for Tao, just seeing the course, being confident in what they're confident in doing on a time trial bike. And it's not a technical TT. It's short. It's intense. It's going to be a 17, 18-minute effort. And I think if you get too much advice, you are trying to. It's a big pressure day. It's the biggest pressure these two have had in their career, and it doesn't get any bigger than 18 minutes. That's going to decide the Giro d'Italia. So I think to keep in their own space and just stay to the rhythm and routine that they're used to in time trials is the best way to approach it.
Coming at it from a parochial point of view, do you think that pressure might just annihilate Tao's rhythm and just sort of, can we see any one of them having like just a pressure collapse? That's going hypothetical to a degree.
Look, neither of them are specialists, and when you look at the last couple of mountain stages, they're extremely even. There's been a minor kick or sprint that's been the difference between the two of them. Jai got to sit on Tao on the last climb 2 days ago, pumped him in the sprint. Yesterday, Jai made numerous attacks to try to get rid of Tao, couldn't do it. Tao had the best of him in the sprint yesterday. But at the end of the day, they're physiologically very, very even at the moment. And I said, neither of them look too pretty on a TT bike, and it doesn't matter. Whoever goes the fastest this afternoon is going to be the winner of this year's Giro. And I wish Jai all the best.
Good stuff, mate. All right. Well, we said we'd only have you for 5 minutes, mate. You got to head out with Geordie. So appreciate you coming on for the detour chat. And, hopefully, as you said, Jai can get the chocolates. Yeah, and look, it's been an incredible Giro. If anyone had put, these two guys who are going to win, whoever wins the Giro this afternoon, Jai had his first win in Europe 3 days ago. Tao's won a couple of Tao's first World Tour win was yesterday. These guys, if you picked a winner, no one would have picked these two to win the Giro d'Italia 3 weeks ago. And the Giro's done a great job to get through the race. We are in the midst of a pandemic over here. Italy's cases have gone up from 2,000 or 3,000 a day to 19,000 yesterday in a day, and they're going to get it done. And now we've got 2 weeks to go, and we'll get the Vuelta done, and to pull off an incredibly packed season in 3.5 months. So a big day today for those two, and then today's the end of the first week for the Vuelta as well. So all the best for all the Aussies out there as well. Well, as much as I could critique him, Joe Pesci has got him to Milan. So well done. Good job. All right, mate. Thanks, buddy. See you soon. Cheers, mate.
See you guys.
Hey, one funny story with the time trial I want to leave is Neil Stevens at the Vuelta. I reckon it was 3 years ago. He was on he had them all lined up, ready to go, and they were going through one of the roundabouts, and Steve-O was looking at his notes and he was getting all confused or whatever, and he goes, "All right, boys, full gas," and then he's looked up and then he saw it was a hard right-hander, and he's like literally at the last minute going, "Hard right!" like down the mic. Chavez reckons they were doing 70 Ks just hanging on the side. And then Steve-O afterwards, he's so rattled, he was even in the air. Instead of giving him instructions, he's going, "I'm so sorry, boys. I am so sorry." It should have been there. It was way funnier. Anyway. All right. Good on you, boys. Fingers crossed for Jai. We'll see you all again. Are we on tomorrow, John? What are we doing?
We are, mate. We're going to be talking about Jai's victory in the Giro d'Italia, mate.
If he wins, I'll be keen. But if he doesn't win and gets nutted by a couple of seconds, I don't know. We'll
be on. We'll be on.
Right. Mate, I want to tune in just for John's read of the Mitchelton Winery.
Okay. And I'll tell you what, that Land Rover is going to be, it could crack the mill. So we'll see you tomorrow. Could crack the
mill tomorrow. Yes.
Good on you. Oh, hang on. I've got to press the button to end it, which is this one.
This is the winning ride of the Tour de France.